Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is your host of My Spiritual Money RX. It's Vivian S.D. Guzman. And thank you so much for tuning in with us. Here in this TV show live, you're going to learn a lot of practical tools in your money flow. Now, we not only talk about the practical tools about money, how to make it, how to invite it, how to experience the flow of it, but it actually combine the physical aspects of it, the emotional aspects of it, the mindset that goes with it, our relationship with money, and also the spiritual tools that you may actually can utilize in everyday settings so that you can learn how to invite money flow into your life. And today we have a very, very special guest. It's one of the practitioners we have for Transformational Wellness Academy. And I want to welcome Miss Vienna Dunham. Hey, Miss Vienna, how are you?
Doing well, Vivian. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, definitely. So our show today would really focus on the barriers to manifestation.
Yes.
How is that happening, right? Like, do people have a problem with creating something and then manifesting that into their life? That's the question. What is your input on that? Do you notice anything, for example, even in your family, right? Uh, do your kids ask you for, mommy, I want this? And then what happens after? Do they get it right away? Or is there a lag, a delay in the universe as far as manifesting that?
It depends on so many factors, right? For one, how big is it?
Yeah,
Have they planned ahead and saved their own money for this? And is it just a passing fancy, they
yep.
see something, or is it something their heart's been set on for a long time? And what's their relationship with money in that season? And then
Mhm.
there's times where the response is just, "I don't have the money to help you with that. My money's spoken for over here," or something, and then they get to get creative.
Yeah, exactly. And just observing from just regular people, right? Like you said, if I was watching The Law of Attraction, it's now on Netflix actually. I was looking
Oh,
at, you know how a kid said, I wanted a bike, right? But number one, they didn't have the money. So we looked at all factors, right? No money. And then the kid started looking at a picture of the bike that he truly, truly wanted.
okay.
And he was looking at it, looking at it. He posted something like close to his bed. And it's funny, the emotions that go with the longing for a bike, or I would love to manifest a bike, right?
Yep.
And one of the things I notice with people is they have a certain expectation of how the bike would show up, or how soon the bike would show up, or what is the color of that bike. So this boy actually went, he was just walking down the street, and then he saw a store, and then he looked at it and he's like, that's the bike I like. He said, that's the bike I like. So he would pass by that store all the time, look at the bike, and really like feel like the emotion has to be positive, right?
Right.
Feel like he's already got the bike. But then one day he was walking by and somebody already bought the bike. So of course he was disappointed, right? Like, what's the feeling of that when you look at it? What happens? Well, of course, people would usually feel some kind of a negative emotion when you're really longing for something and you're hoping you could take it home, but then suddenly it's gone. So he threw the picture of the bike in the trash can.
Oh.
He was like, I'm done. Can you imagine? But
Yep.
that's how people respond, right? Like, oh, that's the one. So they are focused. The expectation is that's the bike I want. So if somebody already bought it, physically it's gone, what do I do? Right?
Right.
We give up, and sometimes we give up too easily.
Yes. And you wouldn't have insight that there might be another one somewhere in the world, right?
That's right.
that there's actually abundance.
Exactly. I'm glad you said that. So I wanted to share with people, this is normally the flow, right? There's an idea. You thought of something.
Right.
We create that in our minds, and then we want that to show up in our physical reality, right? So there's a delay usually in the creation and the manifestation, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then when we get it, we celebrate. We celebrate.
Vivian, you're the one who taught me that. I think before it would be an idea, slog hard to try to make it happen. Finally, some long time later, it happens, and I would forget. I didn't even know that reward and celebration was a thing. I thought now you keep pushing forward with the new thing, and so that's one of the things I'm very, very grateful for. Is how fun is that to celebrate? There's still a kid inside of all of us, right?
That's right. Right. We gotta bring that out again, right?
Yes.
Okay, so today in the show, we're going to talk about some of the most common reasons why people somehow get to an idea, create, but then the manifestation, somehow that there's a lag in the universe, or some things happen, and then fast forward, right? Like, let's say you're in your 20s, and then suddenly you're in your 60s, and then you're like, what just happened?
Been there, done that.
The creation and the manifestation cycle. I'm like, did that disappear? I don't think so.
Right.
Life got in the way. Okay, so these are some of the factors that I noticed, and you can chime into this. Number one is the lack of focus. These are the barriers to manifestation. Lack of focus. Can you speak about that, Vienna? So
yeah,
because I can speak all about it, but then the successful people really have focus. Don't you agree?
That is absolutely right. For me, for decades, I even described myself scattered and splattered. I was, just like I was all over the place, and I knew that you need to have water in banks of a river, or else you just got a floodplain. And that never amounts to enough to do anything with. You can't even go scoop some up in a bucket. It's just dispersed and evaporates. And so that lack of focus is a tremendous obstacle to manifesting what you want, because it's just too spread out.
Right. So it could be as easy also as what we want is more than one, right? So,
yes.
For example, if let's say you only have, I noticed this, right? If you only have 2 weeks to make something happen, for example, right? Like if you're given a deadline, and I used to work for someone in the past, right? For a company. And if they say this report is due by this time, do you notice you magically find the energy and the focus to get that report done or whatever project you're working on in sometimes overnight in a short period of time?
Yes.
Like literally. So focus is more a muscle that we exercise
Mhm.
because we're used to it, right?
And
So
can I give an example from eyesight,
sure.
Vivian?
Yes.
Okay, so there are two things that create issues with focus in our vision. One is, especially as we age, muscles get weaker. And so we can do regular, consistent exercise and maintain our focus. And
True.
another factor is we can be so hypervigilant, we can be so tight that the muscles fatigue. So then it's not a matter of strength. And this, as a physical therapist, this works all over the body,
Yep.
that you can have hypertonic muscles that are so tight they have no strength. So, but we
Exactly.
can be hyper attentive trying to focus and therefore lose focus, or we can be
That's so true.
tired,
Yeah. So we need a good balance, right?
Yes.
Obviously. And then number 2 reason, emotions that get in the way. Okay.
Right?
Think about that boy that wanted the bike. So first he had a lot of positive emotions, right? Flooding his body. He was looking at the bike. He was looking at it when he's on his bed. He was like dreaming about it, thinking about it, feeling what it's like to ride the bike. And then when he saw somebody bought it, his emotion went south.
Heartache.
Yeah, like,
Grief.
oh no. And then he crumpled that paper in the picture and then he threw it in the trash can.
Yeah.
That was
Then
the
even
emotion.
frustration, anger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Forlorn.
So
Yeah.
that emotion, by the way, energetically, if you're angry and frustrated,
Mhm.
can you imagine this? Like that feeling?
Yeah.
That's the emotion coming out of you.
Yeah.
So who wants to be around a crazy bull that's super angry?
Right.
Nobody.
Nope.
Nobody.
Mom may come along for a moment and try to comfort, but if he's lashing out and striking out, she'll, safety says leave the room and come back when he's calmer.
That's right.
Hey, Monica has a question for us, Vivian. How do you know the difference
Yeah.
between no and not now when your request is not manifested?
Oh, I love that. Okay. Let me feature that. Let me see how to do this. I hope I can do this.
You got this.
I got this. So Monica is a success coach and she wants to know the difference between no and not now. Okay. My thought on that is there's no such thing as a no for me. It's my decision to find that flow, right? So no could be not now. Not now is related to timing, right? No is you've closed the door. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's, to me, that's how the visual is. No is you're knocking on my door and I say no, I shut the door and I don't want to see you ever again. That's a no. Now, certain things warrant for that particular response, right? Not now is I love what you're doing. It's just not now. It's not. I don't know where to fit it into my life. That's the not now. Yeah.
And if we're talking about clients, there's also the I don't understand what this could do for me in terms of Monica's a success coach, and someone just may not even respond to her ad or her email because there's a disconnect. They either don't see their own need or they don't see how her answer and their need correspond. So
Yes.
finding out our clients' needs in their words so we can speak their language is a
Right. So that's
possible
more
how to
the
get around to now.
yes. So the more we use our clients' words, the more we are heard. So, for example, because I remember Vienna and I when we were talking about 2 to 3 years ago, right? I was describing to her how the plane looked like. So let's say she never rode a plane. For example, she was only driving her beat up car, right?
Right.
She was thinking, I wanted to feel what it's like to be on that plane with you, but then I'm not quite sure because I don't even have a reality of that. Let's say she's never rode an airplane, for example. But in her childlike mind, she's thinking, I wonder what would it be like to fly. But then she's in her beat up car, right? And she
Right.
wants to go from point A to point B. So when I was we were talking, we were chatting on the phone, and then I started describing the plane, not really connecting with her need yet. She won't really get to ride that plane, or she won't even be. There's so many feelings there inside, right? Like,
Right.
I don't know if I deserve to ride a
Yep.
plane.
I'm
I don't
not
know if I'm
enough.
gonna look
Yeah.
like her if ever I ride that plane. There's so many things in their head. Their mind gives him all these excuses not to take the step. But until I start listening to Vienna, right? Conversing, like, okay, how does it feel, Vienna, to be in that beat up car? Like, allow her to express her
Yeah,
feelings.
exactly. It takes me so long to get anywhere, and then it breaks down, and it's
Yeah,
costing me so much to upkeep. Yeah, lots of feelings.
lots of feelings, and some are positive and some are negative, right? And the more she wallows in the negative zone, right? And she's like, I kind of don't like it here. Well, how do I get to that airplane? So until she asks the question,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to allow them to wallow in their misery. And then when it's so uncomfortable, that's the time they say, okay, I think I'm ready. I am not gonna stay in this beat up car.
Yep.
Is that making sense? Because that's how
Mhm.
emotions are, by the way. I noticed that until they're fed up, they're
Yep.
not going to change. So we as coaches, we need to know when the person is really asking for the help. It's like reaching their hand out, right?
Mhm.
And saying, can you please help me? Because if you help them before they even reach their hand out,
Yeah.
a lot of times you're doing all the pulling for them. That's
Right.
sad.
I have wanted it more than they have before, and that doesn't work well.
What happens? You actually try to pull them out of their misery.
Somebody's arm's gonna hurt.
Yeah, or sometimes they even blame you for
Right.
taking them out of that pain because they're enjoying it so much. I guess they haven't really gotten to the end of that pain. They're not willing yet to get out of the pain.
Yeah.
When it's very painful and they're at the turning point, it's interesting because that's where my clients are.
Mhm.
That last few degrees of change, right? They're like, this is really painful. I
Yep.
can't sit on this boiling water or pot for a long
Yep.
time anymore.
Yep.
That's when they show up for themselves. They're not showing up for us as coaches. They're showing up for themselves, really.
That's
That's
right.
what it is.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. Thank you for that question. All right. The number 3 barrier to manifestation I notice is the lack of self confidence. Boy, this is big.
This is big. I I wanted to share a very specific flavor on this.
Yes,
In
please.
our as you mentioned, I'm the emotion code practitioner,
Yes, you
and
are.
one of the emotions that shows up in this description is creative insecurity. It's feeling
Mm,
unsafe or untrusting the self about the creation or development of anything, relationships, family, health, money, career, and or artistic endeavors. A feeling of insecurity that arises and blocks the creation.
mm. Oh, we lost her there for a short time. So
Whoops, where'd we go?
that's okay. You're back.
I,
We're just happy.
okay. Uh, Somehow it says my camera got unplugged. I have no idea how that happened. Okay.
I don't know how that happened either, but then keep on going.
Okay. I'll
So
start camera.
yeah,
Okay. Wow. Okay. So uh,
the lack of self-confidence.
yes, thank you. So they can be wanting to create something, but they've got this negative emotion trapped, creative
Mhm.
insecurity. And it might have happened when they were in kindergarten and the teacher made some funny comment about their handwriting or something. And it just, in an adrenaline moment, in a fight or flight situation, negative emotions can get trapped in the body. So sometimes lack of self-confidence isn't necessarily some big hard thing to fix. It can be a matter of just clearing some trapped emotions, and you can be on the other side of it in a fairly short period of time.
Yeah, we're talking some of us change in a matter of, well, I feel it immediately, but then
Hmm.
how the body processes it, right? It could be a few hours, it could be a few days. Now, certain emotions that are super deep. I remember Vienna and I were working on some of the old religious influence I've had in the past that was fairly deep, actually. So,
Yeah.
spiritual issues, religious spiritual issues, that's like your whole aura, right? Like the outer portions of your energetic boundary. Some issues we have are deeper than others. But
Hmm.
it's so interesting. Once we get to the bottom of that, guess what
Hmm.
happens? Relationships with that changes with your relationships, like your primary relationships, like husband, wife, if you're male, right? Your children, yourself. That changes so deeply when you start reaching into the outer borders of your energetic boundaries.
And
Because finally, the problem, you get to the bottom of it. It's like deep.
exactly. And totally relationship with God changes there too.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was coming from a shame perspective. I
Mm.
somebody had wagged their finger at me at some point, and that was just their perspective. They honestly didn't get to speak for God on that.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know?
I don't
That
think
I
God does
I
that.
took it on as being God's disappointed with me, he's angry,
Yep.
he's whatever, you know?
Yep.
And so that shift of getting that not just creative insecurity, but a whole series of trapped emotions
Mm.
related to that self-confidence has just dramatically shifted. For me, it was probably the initial shift was which was gigantic, was maybe took about 8 weeks, but
Yeah.
no turning back, you know?
No, no. The thing
Once
is,
the
once
bird's out
you're
of the
in this
cage, I'm
train,
flying. Go
yes,
ahead.
once in this journey of change and transformation, please don't try to go back because you won't like your life very much. Once you step into it, and I think that's why a lot of people are so afraid to go into that personal development journey because they can no longer hide behind books, right? You can't
Right,
like read all the personal development books and then not do anything about it. Your
right.
life won't change. Actually, it'll shift so much in the background, and then you're still waiting for the universe to give you like the boat that because you're drowning. You've got to do something about it, right?
Right.
Now, the next barrier to manifestation I notice is lack of clarity. The
Yeah.
reason why they can't step forward, so let's say you're moving from employee to entrepreneur, right? Or
Mhm.
maybe you're an entrepreneur you're making five figures, hmm, like let's say 60, 80,000 a year, dollars a year, or then you're going into the six-figure mark, 100 to 300, 500,000, or you're going into the seven-figure mark, like $1 million and more. There's a different strategy for each,
Mhm.
right? If you are not clear what the end goal would be, unfortunately, the universe will present to you so many options. And Vienna and I were talking about this. So Vienna, for example, if you used to be, let's say, a housewife and you don't really have the job, you didn't have a job, right? Although
Right.
in your case, you were a massage therapist. So you had some
But
kind
that
of
didn't
work.
come until my kids were almost grown. So,
Oh, okay,
yep,
okay.
I
So
was a housewife.
you
Yep.
were a housewife and then you're going, well, I think I want to try massage therapy. You got certified for that, right? So it took time. You went to school, you got certified, and then suddenly you're now working with people giving, right?
Right.
Giving your skills and talent as a massage therapist, and then you were receiving money in return, right?
Mhm.
But you had some clarity. You wanted to make people feel good somehow. Now,
Yeah,
in making them feel good, did you actually feel good as well?
very much so.
Yeah, so there was an
Mhm.
exchange of some sort.
Yes.
So your clarity now, so then you started going into, I want to be an entrepreneur. I wonder what it's like to be an entrepreneur. So the universe will start giving you different signs to get there. Yes?
Yes.
And then the number five barrier is lack of trust. What if you did not trust the universe? How life is going to change? What happens when people don't have trust?
One of the new insights I've gotten on this lately is about heart coherence. And when our heart coherence is low, and think again about that focus idea, when
Mm-hmm.
that is low,
Mm-hmm.
I can only see what I have to bring to the table. I'm inherently not trusting God. It's
Ah,
like I don't think he's got my back. You know,
oh,
oh, it's just a sad place, right? So
yeah.
when those numbers are low, that vibration is low,
Ah,
then hope is also low.
yep.
I'm just kinda dragging along the bottom. But
Yep.
as it took steps to increase that heart coherence, suddenly I see all kinds of opportunities, and I'm eager to get up in the morning and see what the day holds. And so
Oh, that's great.
it's a great place when and it's encouraging to me because I find okay, I might say, "I want to trust so and so,"
Mhm.
and but how do you produce that? And one
Yeah.
obstacle might be a family member, something has proven a friend untrustworthy in the past, and so they have to earn that trust back or whatever. That's not quite what I'm talking about.
Yep.
But in that term of sometimes the lack of trust is within me. I've got trapped emotions where
Mhm.
I'm remembering the lack of trust and I struggle with trust issues, not it's not even about the other person.
No.
So there are a few different angles to work on things,
Yeah,
and I'm excited to say that's a pretty easy fix.
I
And
know.
yeah,
A
uh,
few sweeps and we're good.
exactly, exactly. Monica had another question going back to the deadline example. How does focus differ from adrenaline kicking in at the
Ah,
FOMO, fear of missing the deadline,
oh my
fight
gosh.
or
Okay.
fight or
And
flight
by
mode?
the way, this
Oh,
addiction to
it's point number
adrenaline
6.
is
Thank
perfect.
you, Monica.
You are so good. Yeah, Monica, thank you for the question. Addiction to adrenaline is another barrier to manifestation. Just think about it. If you have a job, and you know how jobs always have deadlines, correct? They always have some form of a deadline.
Yep.
So the more, the actually, that's how they stay productive, right?
Exactly. I would say without that, the company's tanking.
All those companies, right, in order for them to secure a job to an employee and keep them paid, they have to make sure their bottom line is met,
Exactly.
right? They have a goal. Just like us entrepreneurs, we need to have a goal. But if we don't have a goal, we don't know what we're shooting for. And that's why a lot of people stay confused and just busy, like a busy bee, but
Mhm.
they're not really focused on anything. So I paint the picture of a really successful business owner. Just think of yourself as this, that you have a reward that you plan for yourself,
Mhm.
right? Because if I have a deadline and I had a goal and I met that goal, shouldn't I be rewarded? Like, what do companies do when they hit
Right.
a goal? They party, right? They give them some kind of a gift.
Yep.
So we can borrow that culture and go, you know what? Why don't I give myself a gift because I did a good job on a launch? For example, if I'm launching a program,
Right.
yes, of course, you could do the same thing. So there are good practices that they're doing there in the corporate world that you can adapt in your way so you can take a vacation, right?
Right.
So then your body can ramp up and then it can relax.
Yes.
Because think of a rhythm. If
Mhm.
we keep on going, 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 you see why people call in sick?
Yes.
They cannot handle the pressure and the stress that the job brings to them. So what do? You call in sick or you take a vacation. Same thing. So what if our focus is on the vacation that we're about to give ourselves? What is the likelihood that we're actually going to create a great project and that people will receive it? This I know for a fact. If I'm feeling amazing and I create a program, when I'm feeling amazing, it's almost like a gift to the world, right? Like, aren't you going to
Absolutely.
feel what I'm feeling when I'm putting the bow together like a present?
Yep.
But if I just, let me just like wrap this present and then create this thing, like there's no emotion, there's no feeling there.
Right. It
How would that be received? Does that make sense?
yeah, it's just kinda like, "Oh, thanks." I'll
Oh,
I'll think about
yeah.
it sometime in life, whatever. Yeah. And I wanted to say one of the things that you and I learned from Dr. Angela Lauria was the idea of incremental rewards. So the vacation idea was at the end of writing our book, right? And
Exactly.
and then but there's beginning stage ones too for the little intermittent, because if I have to wait for a reward until the whole thing's done, oops.
Yeah, exactly.
So
There's
I
the big
actually
goal.
I bought something special at the grocery store last night for when I meet my goal of setting up my
Yay!
my
When
things
you,
with the Jane app.
that's right. So when she sets up her landing page, like little rewards along the way. It could be as little as a chocolate bar. Monica's asking, are you saying that the clarity for the end goal is similar to the little boy who had the picture of his bike? Yes. So if your end goal, let's say, is you sign up like 6 clients for a certain price point, right, of a program or a coaching package that you are offering, what are you going to give yourself when you get to those 6 clients and then they've paid you, like they've secured the spot, you now have it on your schedule. What is your end goal? What are you going to reward yourself with? Now, obviously, in the past, if you have achieved so much, but then you're not rewarding yourself, almost like the universe has this it's like a negative balance in your bank account because you haven't fed yourself with a reward. So it could be as
Right.
simple as a massage, right? Local massage, full body massage, a facial. Those are my little rewards for myself. Um, or just a great meal, like with your special someone. Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. Okay, she has another question. This is for Vienna, how does one overcome the low heart coherence if they don't have emotion code? Yeah, that's kind of sad, right? For most
Yeah,
people,
right.
they don't have that,
Let's just
don't
say
have
I
the
never figured
tools.
it out
Yes, yes, yes.
until I found that. But one of the things that was mentioned is doing something that you love. So if I'm always just slogging it out, doing things I don't like because that's how I think it has to happen, I have to hate it to be productive, then
Mm,
I'm going to stay at that low level. But
yeah.
the suggestion that I heard was make sure you do things that you love. Even, okay, catch this one. I just love
Mhm.
this. Even if it feels irresponsible to you. So you may go, I can't take the afternoon off and go fishing, or I can't go shopping.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And, but
Yeah.
even if it feels, and I'm not talking about going into crazy debt here, but if it's something that you go, oh, can I really do that? Have I earned that? It's not about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh my God. Thank you for all these questions. This is perfect. And I know so thank you, Monica, and thank you, Lisa and Mark, for watching. They're actually live. And just type on the comment if you have any specific questions or if you want to go on camera. Perfect. We would love to have you. So again, let's go back to when we started the show. We said when you have an idea, right? We all have an idea because we're all kid at heart and we want to create something, right? We want to build something. It could be a great future. It could be a beach house. I don't know what are you creating, right? We want to hear about it. Now, how do you manifest that? And there is a gap, right, between the creation and manifestation, but we encourage you to pick today the reward or the celebration that you're going to gift yourself when that one idea that you have is actually completely born and raised.
Yeah.
It could be a book idea. Remember that? We were very grateful to like Dr. Angela Loria when she had the author incubator and Vienna and I, right? We were like, oh my God, there's a deadline. Yeah, there's a deadline. Because if we don't put a deadline, sometimes it takes us 20 years, 30 years to write a book. Oh
That's
my
right.
God. What happened to the audience? Like, well, are they still alive? By the time we finish our book.
There's a question. Oh,
So,
Mark or Lisa, go ahead,
yes.
finish that thought. There's
Okay.
there's another comment there. One way to get heart and brain coherence is positive prime sessions in 3 to 5 minutes.
Oh,
Fantastic.
very
I am not familiar
good.
with that.
Yes.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, Lisa, Lisa McCulloch is actually a positive prime practitioner, and she's very good at words, right? And really helping people bring out whatever is positive, right? It's like different kinds of photos. It's kind of like, remember the law of attraction, wherein you just see all the positive things that you would like to have in your life. And if you do that on a regular basis, so instead of, unfortunately, our brain, our mind, has lots of negative thoughts. Like more negative thoughts than anything in the world, right? So if we don't train it to be positive, it'll be negative. That's the default.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. That's the default. So there's so many things.
Thank you, Lisa, for sharing that. Yeah, I'm fairly new in this whole arena, and I'm always looking for and learning new things that, because the more roads you can have to bring you to your destination and support the strengths you're finding.
Yes, awesome. Definitely. Okay, so we're going to share with them what they can do to actually be part of our group, Vienna. So you and I created this creation and manifestation membership circle, right?
Right.
So in the past, you know how there's a new moon and there's a full moon, yes? New moon is the time wherein we actually create something, an idea is born. And you'll notice this in your life, because remember, we're all affected by the moon. In human design, if you're a reflector, a lot of times you have to wait for the whole cycle to finish in order for you to birth an idea, manifest something, right? And then the reflectors, they're very sensitive to energy, almost like you go around them and then your light shines and then they're starting to feel everything that you're feeling. That's how sensitive they are.
Wow.
So this is ideal for reflectors. Now, if you're a generator or manifesting generator in human design, we tend to just attract energy. We're like magnets.
Okay.
Magnets. Well, it's good if your magnet is, if you're surrounded by good, positive people that are successful and happy and joyful, that's what you're going to get, right? That's why they say you got to hang out with 5 people usually that you would like to be, not 5 negative people, because then that's what you get every day. And then that becomes like a sick cycle. Like you become sick from having all of the negative frequencies. From creation comes manifestation. So obviously your life is the way it is because of whatever you put in it.
True. Garbage in, garbage out.
Yep.
Light in, light out. Yep.
Yes. So we are actually heading into the full moon starting, actually it's Sunday in some time zones, but we're going to start with this on Monday. Okay, so we're going to do this first thing on Monday at actually 6 p.m. 6 to 7:30 p.m. is our manifestation circle. We're going to get started. And we invite you to join us. Either you could join us monthly. It's like twice a month we're doing this because the full moon and the new moon cycle happens to be almost every 2 weeks right now. And then Vienna is actually our emotion code practitioner, and she's going to do 2 group healing sessions using emotion code. So you can be well versed on processing your own emotion. Because if you know how to do it yourself, then you're not dependent on anybody doing it. Once you feel it, identify it, right, Vienna?
Right.
And
I do it daily now.
Daily now, you do it daily. How has that changed your life when you do those emotion code releases?
Oh my goodness. I've spared so much drama. I had
no more drama.
Yeah. I had an experience where a family member called and hey, let's get together. And I went into a state of alarm because often it becomes I feel confronted, but I realized that's my own story. And so it turned out to be a very, very simple thing. But because I had the tool of emotion code, while I was waiting for the shoe to drop, I was clearing trapped emotions. And so by the time the conversation happened, I wasn't in a state of alarm. And then my receiving was completely different. So I just now, what it's done for me is it's made me alert to my response to issues, but not in that negative way. I'm not hyper vigilant, like, oh no, something's going to get me. It's more like, oh, I'm curious. Oh, I wonder where that came from. Oh, I wonder how easy it would be to clear that. So
Yeah,
every day
exactly.
becomes an adventure of how can I get myself more and more and more clear so that I can manifest with more ease, grace, and flow.
Yeah, definitely. And it's fascinating because if you actually, you know how we join certain clubs, right?
Mhm.
By the way, this is a we made it easy. We made it 6 months. So let's say you want to get off the train and you just want to go, I don't want to really heal myself right now, and I just want to give it a break. So at least you can take a break if you like, right?
Mhm.
However, we're here for you if you would like to create something and clear the blocks in the way. And me being a physical therapist, you know me loving clearing organ systems because apparently, according to the calendar that I was looking at, right, there are certain organs that are kind of more at risk or in question when the moon cycle comes, right? It could
Fascinating.
yeah, like this full moon, right? I don't know if you're feeling a lot of things about your pelvis, your genitals, your ownership of who you are as a female or as a male. Perhaps you're having to experience some more emotions because you're feeling all that in the pelvic floor area, right? Because that's our creation area. That's the womb. That's where
Yes.
we bring things about. Like think about babies. How are they born? Well, through through having a so, something has to happen before a baby is born, right?
Right. Exactly.
We'll have to come together before a baby.
There's a connection.
Exactly. All right. Are there any more questions regarding our topic today? We would love to hear from you. I know Monica, Christine, Rosemary, Lisa, and Mark are here. So we'll bring you up. So raise your hand if you have any questions, and we'll love to bring you up.
Well, while we wait to see if anybody wants to respond, I remember hearing,
Mhm.
like, I was always kind of like, what's the deal with this moon stuff?
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
And somebody said, the moon shifts water, right? The
Yes.
tides. So
Which
it
is
has an impact on our planet. Go ahead.
no,
Twice a
emotions
day.
and water are connected.
Very, very, very.
Yes.
And if you connect that with the knowledge that each of us, our human body is 70% water, guess what? That gravitational pull of the moon sways us as well.
Yeah.
So
Do you
it
notice
affects you whether you know it or
a little
not.
bit more moody, right, Vienna? Are you a
Mhm.
little bit more moody during full moons?
I spent so long stuffing my emotions and just completely not acknowledging them that I couldn't tell you, but now I'm going to start watching. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just pay attention to that, right? Pay
Okay.
attention. Okay,
And
so
then we can be gracious with ourselves.
that's
When we know
right.
there's a cause, I don't have to beat myself up for being moody. I've
Yeah.
given beating myself up anyway, but
Lisa and Mark said we are about 79% water and women's cycles follow the moon cycle. True. We have
ah,
a menstrual cycle, right? That's why it's kind of every so many days, right?
yep,
25 days.
yep.
And think about that. You create something, you manifest something. You create something, you manifest something. That's really how life works. Like God, it took him how many days? Till 6 days, right? To create
Yep.
Earth. So the delay though, see that's the key. A lot of us are powerful. I think you guys need to know that.
Mm,
The thing is, we have stuffed ourselves with too many other factors that delay the manifestation.
mm.
Guys, pay attention to what you're creating today. If you only had positive thoughts and no resistance, no barrier, whatever you think is what you get.
Wow.
However, how many times in your vocabulary you have a but? And I said, Vienna, can you say and? I'd like to manifest a car and love
Exactly.
for it to be red, right? Okay. Usually we say, I like to manifest a car, but I don't
Right.
have the money in my bank account right now.
Which negates the first part of the sentence, right?
You
I,
just
I
like
have I have
Oh,
completely knocked the word but and should out of my vocabulary.
oh,
I don't
good.
should on myself, and I try not to be a
Yeah,
butt to myself. Is that a thing?
yeah, yeah. You don't want to be a butt to yourself. And then Lisa says, and you release something, right? So during the women's cycle, we are most psychic. In other words, we
Hmm,
can feel people's energy, people's thoughts. Like literally, you can read people's minds, right? Especially
wow.
for those with an open head center. Like my crown is pretty open. That's
Okay.
why I've become this person, right? I can read
In
energy,
human design, right?
sense, because it's open, people. This is a pressure center. The top of the head in human design is a pressure center. Therefore, you're open, you pick up everything that the person is thinking about. Can you not realize, like, when you're, I remember when I was growing up, right? My mother, you know how she doesn't say anything, but you're thinking in your head, oh my God, I wanted to go out. How come she doesn't want me to go out, right? But then she said
Interesting.
something, right? It's like, is she psychic? She just read my mind.
My grandmother would pick up the phone and say, "Hi, Anna," and I'm like, "How did you know it was me?" This was before caller ID, let me add.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Lisa, we're more psychic, usually during the full moon, right? So
Hmm,
think about that. Full moon is manifestation time, people. New moon is when you create what you want to create. So I actually encourage people in the membership group to create one thing at a time, okay,
mm,
and see how fast it manifests to you. Because the thing is, you want this and you order another thing from the universe. Like if you are at a restaurant, you look at a menu, right? There's a menu. It didn't say, well, create whatever you like. Well, the chef can't read your mind, right? So they have to put menus. Do you want shrimp today, or do you want beef, or do you want pork? For
right.
example, those three choices. If you don't make a choice, the universe will give you everything you don't want. So that you can respond, by the way, especially if you're a generator and a manifesting generator. You guys are smiling, but it's so true. You're like, universe, you need to know what I want, but you haven't said it yet. You haven't stated it. You haven't written it. You haven't put any effort to make it happen. How is the universe going to bring it to you? Think about that. I order a little each of each one. Monica said she orders a little bit of each one. Shrimp,
Smorgasbord.
beef, and a little pork. Oh my God, this is so cute. Christine, raise your hand. I can see you in the background, but I don't know if you want to ask a question. I see her face. The other people, I don't see any camera. So, Christine, would you like to ask a question? Just raise your hand if you do. Oh, no, she's okay. All right. She's just enjoying our laughing exchange here. So, thank you
Mm.
guys for being here live, by the way. And you can always come live with us on these TV shows. So, anyway, so again, let's go back to remember this. We're going to recap. Idea, right? You have an idea.
Mhm.
So create something today. Okay, it's like, I would like for this to manifest by this time. Usually we give it a timeline of some sort. If you're not attached to the outcome, though, usually it comes faster.
Right.
Literally. Literally.
And and I pictured earlier too the boy
Mhm,
with the bicycle because he had something specific in mind, and I
mhm.
mean, the dream boards and whatever, specific, yes, but
Yeah.
I think here's where that attachment to the outcome comes. What if
Uh-huh.
it doesn't come the way I want, and I'm
Mm.
waiting by the front door for the UPS man to drop it, and it's
Right.
actually coming through the window,
Or through the back door, right?
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So that unattached to how it comes,
How
because it
it's going
might
to come.
even, if I can be very open about it, it might even be more magnificent than I could have imagined, more than the 6
Yeah.
clients, you know?
I would say the emotion, actually, the positive emotion that comes with it,
Mhm.
really accelerates the issue,
Yes.
the delivery of what you wanted.
Yes.
Because if only I have welcoming thoughts and feelings about something in my life, and that's what floods my system, my nervous system, guess what happens? When I get it, I'm like that, right? So I
Right.
tried practicing this when it came to money. Okay. So you know how people worry about money, right? And then I go, I start to imagine and feel a check in the mail or somebody paying for something, like very, very vivid, like it's happening in front of me.
Okay.
And every single day when I meditate, I do my nature walk. My job for myself is to feel good every morning. That's it. I just tell myself, if I feel good, everything that I think about happens, which is true. So it's interesting, that money thing, right? And at that time, I was doing some money clearing, and it was actually EFT at that time I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the first few modalities that I started using.
Okay.
Every day when I opened the mailbox, I was expecting the feeling, right?
Yeah.
A check would come. And believe it or not, that whole week, almost daily, there's a check. It could be a refund for $1.45. It doesn't matter.
But you celebrated.
And dancing. I was doing that, right? And guess what happened? More money came. Like bigger checks came is what I'm saying. More clients came. So that's what happens to you, really, especially if you are a generator, manifesting generator, right? You bring it in, right? Monica's asking, what is a positive thought pattern to repeat to create the emotion and override your previous emotions attached to unfulfilled requests? In my psychic world, I clear or delete those pictures, because when you look at a picture, let's say in the past, you had a disappointment, right? Or a frustration because you asked for something and it didn't happen, or the client you were expecting was going to sign up, let's say for $10,000, didn't sign up. Okay? Because you had an expectation. See, that was the key. So when you offer something, right, and they did not take it, I don't take that personally. Literally, it could be they're not ready, or could it be a sign for me to polish my offer better? Like really listen to them so I can craft something that would benefit them, right? Because it's not about you at that time. It's either you're extending a hand and they have to take it. They have to extend their other hand. Otherwise, it won't work.
Right.
Otherwise, you're doing all the work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a $10,000 client that you're doing all the work versus somebody that's actually doing their part in it is a completely different feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the power comes with a non-attachment.
Yes.
When you offer something, let's say you cook a very beautiful meal, but then the person, let's say it's a dish made of meat, but the person's vegan, they're not going to take it.
Mm-mm.
It doesn't work like that, right? So you're looking for attracting the right clients that actually like what you prepared.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're looking for, because that's a match made in heaven.
Right.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I love matches made in heaven, you guys, because there is no resistance in the giving and the receiving.
Yes.
When you're doing all the work by yourself, you're exhausted because they're not receiving it.
Yep.
And then I had that old idea of, let me just beat myself up because I didn't do a good job. You got to delete that. That is not going to work for you or for them either, because it's going to magnify. You see? So if you can offer, but not be attached to the outcome, because it's possible that there's a part of you that's still not wanting to receive them at this time. It could be a time issue, right? Timing. It could be a place. They're not at that place yet, but maybe a few months later they will be when you're also ready. So always check within yourself, because when you're ready, they will come. I just want to tell you that. When you're ready, they will come. So right now it's all preparation, probably as you transition from employee to entrepreneurship. And that's great, because then you can prepare the home for them, so to speak, where they can sit and enjoy your skills and gifts and talents. So I would suggest having like a time, like a block of time for them, because once you create that block of time, they will come.
Awesome.
All right, you guys, I think we're up to time. So I want to thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoyed this show today that we put together. And again, kindly go to viviandeguzman.com/creation and manifestation membership if you'd like to join us on Monday. And you have two options there, monthly, or if you want to get the bonus sessions with Vienna, you can go straight